What's up guys, this is Nick at stradwise.com in Brooklyn, New York, and today I kind of wanted to do like a little boot education video. Okay, so if you're dropping real money on boots, right, you want to be sure that you've got the best boot from the ground up, from the sole up. So, to that end, I thought I'd do a quick and handy little video guide to the pros and cons of 8 different boot soles that are very popular that I think you should know about before you make your next purchase. So let's make you an expert. Okay, let's start with the classic of the classic, the leather outsole. Usually considered the dressiest of everything we're looking at today. Out of everything we're looking at today, I'm quite positive this is the oldest sole there is. Like, leather soles have been around for thousands of years, and today they're usually vegetable tanned. Now they're still popular on dressy boots like this Carmina Chelsea boot here, and even some more rugged footwear like the Wolverine 1000 Mile, for example. The upsides of leather outsoles are many. They're breathable, they're flexible, they break in easily, they sound great, like when you're click-clacking around on linoleum. And the big one is that they're soft. They're very comfortable in that regard. Many guys will only wear leather outsoles because they are nice and soft. The downsides that you can probably guess at, they're not very durable for one, like they wear down relatively quickly. And especially when you first get them, they have zero grip. It's really easy to fall on your butt. I've done it in my fry boots many times, like much more than once down subway steps in New York. Some companies like, oh here we go, Thursday boots, they'll try and ameliorate that by putting some leather studs into the outsoles to kind of compromise with the softness and grip issues. But nonetheless, yeah, you gotta have some issues with the grip with leather outsoles. Now, as you wear them in, they do get scratched up a lot, and that does confer more grip. But then you've got ugly soles all of a sudden, and they don't look all that dressy, right? So add that to the fact that they're not very durable, because they get scratched up really easily, but also because they're not amazing in wet conditions, and you've got a sole that's great inside, but not quite so great outdoors. Now, there are many different types of leather outsoles out there. Like there's single layer, double, triple leather outsoles. The thicker the sole, generally speaking, the better the durability. That's a bit of a generalization, but that is relatively true. But that makes it hard to break in as well. And it makes it not quite as soft and flexible when walking around it. So, choose wisely. I also wanted to point out there's no shortage of combination soles out there, like this fine line rubber I've got on my Helm Zind boots. That's leather with a strip of rubber attached to it. You see variations of that here and there. I've got it on my Sutra older boots as well, but in this video I'm really just kind of trying to stick to materials as opposed to combinations of different materials. Now, the second sole I'm going to talk about today is sort of it's like as we're transitioning away from natural materials like leather to artificial materials like rubber, this is like a midway point between that, right? This is Nitrile Cork. That's a rubber composite that's made by mixing pieces of cork with the rubber. So that makes it comfier and more lightweight than a lot of rubber outsoles out there, and it doesn't wear down as fast as leather. The example I'm showing you here today is the world famous Alden 403 boot, which is worn by Dr. Indiana Jones in all of his movies. I've also got a pair of Iron Rangers with Nitrile Cork outsoles. The Red Wing Iron Ranger, before summer 2017, it came with Nitrile Cork. Now it's a different outsole I'm gonna get into a little bit later on. Cork usually lacks any sort of grip, so nothing will stick to your soles or anything, especially as it doesn't scratch up and create places for muck to hide and for dirt to get into there and everything like you do with a leather sole. So although it is very flat, surprisingly, it's actually quite grippy walking around in them. It's oil resistant and it's good in wet weather. It's much more functional than you might think for something that's as flat looking as this, but it's not ideal for icy conditions. But that aside, you would be very surprised by how grippy this is. The third sole I want to talk about here is Dainite. Ultra fancy footwear may default to leather soles sometimes, but Dainite is well and truly the choice of sole for nice footwear, like footwear over $300 that wants to be both flat and sleek when viewed from the side, but also grippy and functional in wet weather. It's enormously, enormously popular. It's a great all-rounder, and Dainite is used in everything from Allen Edmonds to $700 Viberg boots. The boot I've got here is my very worn-in Delaware boot from Parkhurst, which is somehow under $300, even though it's made in the US. I think it's the only boot I've ever seen that's under $300 and has a Dainite sole. Normally it's for the pricier boots. Dainite is a subsidiary of the Harborough company in the United Kingdom. And while this sole looks quite modern, it's actually been getting made since 1910. It's very, very old. And Dainite is broadly seen as the best compromise of form and function. And it's so popular that countless companies have been inspired by it, by this flat and grippy look. So some examples would be Grant Stone right here. I got the Chelsea boot here. And Thursday Boot Company, their Captain boot. These are just two of many companies that have quite obviously taken inspiration from Dainite's look. The fourth sole I want to mention here today, I do have this boot, but it's in storage and I can't get into storage during lockdown, so I couldn't get it for you today, but I do have this sole. It's not that popular, but I wanted to mention it because the Ridgeway sole, like the one on my Taft Dragon boots, they're also made by Harbro, the same company that makes Dainite. It's also flat when viewed from the side, as you can see in this footage I've got. It looks very cool, but it's less dressy and less classic when you see the underside of the sole. And it's also a little bit more flexible than Dainite, so it's got its own pros and cons. Number 5, while we're looking at flat bit grippy kind of soles, I think we need to talk about the Vibram Mini Lug. I'm technically actually supposed to be pronouncing it Vibram because it's named after the founder Vitaly Bramani, but I slip up sometimes, forgive me. Vibram is what I'm supposed to be saying here. So the example I brought in today is the Taylor Stitch boot. This is their Ranch boot, the Chelsea boot that I've reviewed. But they're actually on the most popular heritage boots like ever, probably, the Red Wing Iron Ranger. They used to have Nitrile Cork, they now have a Vibram Mini Lug on them, as do the Red Wing Blacksmiths and a bunch of other boots from Red Wing. They're very big fans of it there. So it's flat and it's grippy, and I believe it's cheaper to make than Dainite. And it's a really good like a style and utility combination. Really serious grip here, but still nice and flat when viewed from the side. Number 6, if you heard my reference to Vitaly Bramani earlier and thought, man, I'd like to know what that guy's story is, you're in luck. I'm gonna tell you. His deal is that it's very sad. He has a very sad life. The story is that Vitaly Bramani had 6 of his friends tragically die when mountaineering. And he said it was because they had bad grip on their leather and hobnail soled footwear. So he devised this very chunky and incredibly popular rubber sole that was released in 1937, and to this day it is very popular in outdoorsy footwear and some city boots as well. It's very rugged, very outdoorsy. It'll grip just about anything and just about better than anything else on this list. They're impossible to dress up, but it definitely has its place in the world of bootdom. So now let's move on to Wedge Soles. This is not a type of material, but rather it's like a style. It's a name given to boots that are typically all one piece of rubber and are all flat, so there's more contact with the ground, like when compared to like a heeled boots, for example. So the idea of wedge soles, like this one on the Red Wing Mock Toe, is that besides being softer and a bit more sneaker-like than heeled boots, they help to avoid tripping hazards and they track less mud. So although they look a bit more like the modern sneaker, they're actually very popular in like modern work boots today. On that note, the 7th sole that I wanted to mention is actually not this Red Wing here, it's my Thorogood Heritage Mock Toe, because that one is made from polyurethane. Polyurethane is number 7 today for the 7th material you're gonna get soles from boots made from. Oftentimes wedge soles are made out of polyurethane because it tends to be a bit more work friendly, like as in certified for various purposes by OSHA, it's a bit more resistant to electrical shock, that sort of thing. So it's very, generally speaking, it's a little bit harder and it has more longevity than the softer, number 8, our final sole, Crepe rubber, like you'll find in this famous Red Wing Mock Toe here. What's weird about Crepe rubber is that Red Wing's sole is crepe, but the name probably brings to mind outsoles that look more like, where is it? This one from Oliver Cabell's Chelsea boot, which is not a wedge sole, it has like a little heel here, but these are both made from crepe rubber, even though they look almost nothing like each other, right? So they're both made from crepe, and the best known example probably of crepe rubber though would be the Clark's Desert boot, which as you can see here, bears a lot of similarity with the outsole of Oliver Cabell's crepe rubber. So it's also called plantation rubber, and it's a crude, cheap form of natural rubber that's usually obtained when coagulated latex is passed through heavy rolls called crepers, after which the resultant material is air dried. Red Wing's crepe rubber is unusually firm, but when you're talking about crepe rubber, you're normally talking about cheaper and more basic form like this one, again on Oliver Cabell and on the Clark's Desert boot. Like it's incredibly soft relative to Red Wing's, which is quite soft, like softer than polyurethane. But yeah, it gets unbelievably dirty with wear. It sucks up everything it touches. You'll find like hair and pebbles in it after a day of wear. It slips very easily in the wet and it absorbs water very easily as well. And also like oil and grease, just kind of sucks up everything it goes into. They are desert boots, the Clark's Desert boot. They're not for wet conditions, but they are very comfy. So a lot of guys will still wear them anyway. All right, that's it, man. That's my guide to very common boot soles. I know it's not every single boot sole out there, but you're very likely to get one of these when you buy a pair of boots. And like different soles have different purposes. I'm not gonna really say like one is the best boot sole or anything. I mean, I quite like Dainite. It's usually quite expensive though. Vibram Mini Lugs are quite good. I like these soles that are very flat, but also very grippy. That's like the thing that I like the most. I do like the softness of the leather sole sometimes, not when it's wet. But anyway, I'm gonna keep on going here. Let me know what your favorite sole is, what you think is like the best compromise for all the things that you want from a pair of boots. And that's like the video. That's it, man. Please subscribe. Why not? I got a whole lot more boot reviews and boot education and denim stuff and bags, all other kinds of stuff coming up.